me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. Without you, driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. Give it to me like world without you. Just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live without you.
Right. Good evening, people. That's been a nightmare to set up with the issues on StreamYard and YouTube. I mean, it had me showing I had about 10 shows going at one point. And just trying to transfer it over, it was just not letting me do it. So that's basically kicked an hour out of my time. So I'm going to have to keep this a bit shorter and sweeter than I intended to. It basically comes down to, I've been obviously talking with a lot of people lately. See a lot of people on there. Everyone's got their own opinions. We all know there's facts and there's opinions. One thing I've definitely noticed on a lot of shows, people starting to question Timo Werner. Do we buy him? Do we keep him? Is he worth it? Will he do us any good? I must admit, I'm struggling to see where the question even comes from. In his first season at Chelsea, I mean, when he was in Germany at first, he was good. And then he come over from Leipzig to Chelsea. His first season, very mediocre. It was all right season from what I remember. I mean, I haven't got the exact stats, but he wasn't a total letdown. And then after that, it was no wonder that Chelsea got rid of him and he goes back to Germany. So in Germany, he then ends up at his new club sitting on the bench most of the time. There's a reason for that, and it wasn't an injury. I know he had one or two knocks, but it was nothing serious that was going to keep him out for a significant amount of time. I know he started one or two games. Again, I haven't got the exact stats for it. I ain't going to go through all them. And I know he scored, 2-3 times out there. And I get why we got him on loan. Now, on loan, I don't think he was the worst call. Why? Because in January, it's very hard to get a player. We all know that, yeah? And buying a player, if you're going to buy him in January, chances are you're going to pay an extra 25% on top of it anyway. But I get why we got him on loan. I don't think he was the worst shout for a loan. Why? I've described it many a time. I think his style of play suits Ange's style of play. And I do just look on him as a poor man's Son. Because he does play up on the left exactly how Son does. Likes to use his pace, everything else in that. I think he's got good pace in him, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying. And he's good on the ball. It's just when he gets into that final third, he's known that he's not very good. I mean, his finishing is pretty shocking as far as I'm concerned. And his passing just definitely isn't up to standard for what you want your winger to put the ball in for. All right, he's drilled it across the goal a couple of times. Well done, mate. I'll give him a Blue Peter badge for that one. But in general, I'm sure people know he's not good enough for what Ange wants to do in the future. Or so Ange claims, anyway. So I'm just going to say hello to a few people on the side here. Mark Cook, big up Dan, big up you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Tom Thatcher, big up Dan, big up to you as well. And he says hello to the chat. David R, my co-mate, who I know he's on his way home from work. He was better than what we had at the time, but we need to upgrade next season. Simple. Exactly. He was good enough to do the job for what we needed there and then. But if we are to actually go somewhere, win something, do something that Spurs don't usually do, and that's just win something, are you telling me that we are going to be happy with a player like Timo Werner there? Is he going to be good enough to get into that first 11? No, he shouldn't be, because we should have better. And this is where I use a phrase that Mr. Box Office does not like. And he's got me totally agreeing with him. As all Timo Werner will be is backup. That's all. Just think of the word for a minute. Backup. Now, I do get it. Out of a 24, 25-man squad, you're not going to have competition all over. And you do need the odd backup player. But I do mean odd backup player. What we need is players bought that can either get in that first 11 straight away or be so close to that place that if the player, left winger, striker, right winger, midfielder, whoever, gets their shit wrong, they're looking straight over their shoulder because they know they ain't going to play for 2 or 3 games because the person behind them can literally walk in and take their place. Is Timo Werner good enough for that? No. Not at all. Other thing is with him, his price, 15 million. Okay, experienced player. He's got experience. What is he now? 28, 29? Something like that. I'm not sure exactly, if someone could tell me. He's 15 million for a reason. Because he just is not up to standards. If he was that good, Leipzig ain't in trouble. They're probably the second richest team in Germany with their owners. And they're willing to let him go for 15 million. That says everything. He is not good enough, in my opinion, for what we want to do in that Spurs first 11, or even to have as a counteract player who can step into that place and take control of it. Now, if he's going to be a backup player, you've got to think, our left winger gets injured, he now steps into that place. But he only steps into the place because there's an injury and he's a backup player. I mean, I can't remember how many games he's played for us now. I think it's about 11, something like that, 11 or 12, give or take 1 or 2. And he's got 2 goals, 3 assists. Okay, over 10, 11 games, but is that really good enough? People say give him time to settle in. He's been in the Premiership already. He's a 28, 29-year-old footballer. He shouldn't need that much time to step in there. Okay, different style, I get all the crap. But I think his style works perfect for Ange's style, basically. It's just, again, there is no way I think he is good enough for what we actually want to do. If Ange is preaching about, I want to win the league, I want to do this, I want to win something, and he goes and buys Timo Werner, this is where I'm totally agreeing with what Stel says here, yeah? If he goes and buys Timo Werner, because Ange has stated that there'll be no players coming into this club unless I've picked them, unless I want them. Are you telling me he really wants Timo Werner? If we go spend that 15 million on him, that's 15 million that could have gone towards someone else. Instead of only having 40 million left to spend, we'd then have 55. We all know what Levy's like. I just don't get how people want him at our club as a permanent basis. I really don't understand it. So if anyone's got any good opinions on it or reasons for it, please do tell me. I'm more than willing to listen if someone could come up with a good one, but I have not heard one yet. So, Spurs Kings TV. Hey, doing, mate? Opal's good. Right, the question is for Spurs fans. Has Son been good on the left wing this season? If no, his stats are better than Werner when playing out on the wide. Let that sink in. Okay, let that sink in. I'll go that one, yeah. But Son's been playing as a striker most of the time. So, and he scored, 15 goals. So for me, that one's pretty out of the picture because I don't think he's played a consistent amount of games on the left wing. And comparing Son and Werner, I do compare them together because they play the same sort of football. But like I keep saying, Werner is a poor man's Son. He's got the pace, he's good enough on the ball, but can he finish? Give him 10 chances on goal, he'll get 1. Give Son 10 chances on goal, he'll get 6 or 7. That is my point. So Mark Cook here says here, Timo is not what we need if we have aspirations of winning the league in the next couple of years. It's basically everything I'm saying, mate. Now, I do know that the options out there are few and far between. But surely we can find someone better than that. Surely. I mean, I know there's 2 players I wouldn't mind going for. One plays on left, one plays on right. And yes, they will cost a bit of money. I think they're significantly younger, and I think they will do significantly more, and I think they've got a lot more potential. The problem is going to be getting them. But I do think we've got more than enough money to get them. And I do think the club that we would want them off is small enough to sell them. But we'd get at least one of them. I'll go to that one in a minute. Jason Williams saying here, big up, Dane, big up to you too, mate. Werner, not good enough. He's not. And Samuel, hi, hello to you, mate. Charlie, hope you're doing well, mate. Good afternoon. Well, afternoon, good evening, should I say. Like I say, been trying to get this show going for over an hour. So I'm just going through the talks at the moment. Daryl Denton, you signed Werner, proves nothing changed in the mindset of the club. Just different staff pushing the club's lies. That's pretty much how I see it. I mean, really, I could pretty much end the show on this because... He's just, I just can't understand how people think this man is good enough. I think too many people are looking at the price tag of 15 million, which is a good price for a player these days, saying snap him up. But I repeat it again, he's 15 million for a bloody reason. Because he is not up to standards. Would he get back here? Would he get in a top 6 team, even though we're classed as a top 6 team? Would he? No. He wouldn't even make it off the subs bench on half of them unless they was in severe trouble with injuries. So why, with Tottenham, with his team that we're looking for in the future, with a manager who claims he wants to win things, we want him to win things, we want Spurs to win things, why are we looking at a player like Werner? I just don't get it. I've watched on other shows and that, people have given reasons why they think he can do it or why not or whatever else. But I'm starting to see that there's quite a lot of people saying that we should go for him. And I'm just not... Someone, please do give me a solid reason. Sorry, just went to that one. Mark Cook says, give him back and get Leipzig centre-half. Now that would be a statement signing. I know what player you're on about. I just cannot remember his bloody name now. What's it? The central centre-back. No, you're going to have to put it on there, mate. I'm terrible at remembering names, but I know who you're on about. I don't follow the German league so much, but obviously I have a rough idea about a few players out there and that. I think I know who you're on about. But we do definitely need the players up front more than anything at the moment after a DM. That is the priority, in my opinion. I mean, we had this chat on the show yesterday. Other people have had it. I've had talks with other people of where do we most need the positions. And I still think with the way Ange plays, if he really wants his defence covered, because I'm still sceptical of it, that we're still going to concede goals no matter what defence we have there, we definitely need a defensive midfielder to back that up. Right, Mapping, how you doing, mate? Let's see what he's saying here. This season is justifiable that Timo is, as Solomon was injured. Yep. Who lies in same bracket? With the same lights as Timo and Perisic left with Sonny's Asia Cup campaign. However, to have him would be bizarre. I totally agree. Now, you mentioned Perisic, yeah? He was probably our best crosser of the ball. He didn't really get credit where credit is due last season because he didn't look too great. But we played him in the wrong bloody position. He's not a wing-back, and he's not. He doesn't do it for Croatia. He done it for Inter Milan one season. But the difference is a slower player like him can play as a wing-back in the Italian league because the Italian league starts off a lot slower. It's a lot more counter-attacking football, but the wing-backs aren't expected to get up the other end of the pitch in a matter of seconds, like the way we play. He was always played as an attacking midfielder on the left and was doing it for Croatia most of his life, did it at Bayern Munich and that. And yeah, my man could cross the ball. I always thought Perisic was a quality player personally. But as a wing-back in the Premiership, nah, that was not his thing. But he still got something like, what, 12, 13, 14 even assists? And he actually got quite a lot of stick. And I think he's definitely one of the better. We could have done with having him now. Because if we'd have stuck him out on the left now, we'd have had a lot more crosses coming in. Because again, wingers, none of them can cross the ball regular, can they? Porro is probably our best crosser of the ball. And we play him inverted anyway. No, I'm not a fan of the inverted wing-backs either. But Ange's style, Ange's way, we'll see how this goes in the future when he gets the players he wants. So take it from there. To be honest, he got 7 goal contributions if you count the own goal. Yeah, Charlie, like I said to you, mate, he may well have. But if we want to progress, is he really the sort of player we want to go for? Again, no one's given me a reason why we should definitely buy him. Loan, I'm accepting. It wasn't the worst call. But buy him to be at Spurs all the time? He would be nothing more than a backup. And it's backup players that we don't want. We want players that can get in that team. Is the way I see it anyway. Permanently, and Mapping says, permanently, no way to have him as our starter. Exactly. He's not good enough to be our starter. He really isn't. He's a backup player and nothing more. And we want players that can walk into that team or take that player's place if he has one poor game. That's what happens at City. That's what's happened at Liverpool. Even Arsenal can do it. If Martinelli has a bad game or two, Trossard says thank you, comes and takes the place. Now, Trossard, there's a player that I think is underrated. I personally rate the player quite highly. Now, what I was saying about is 2 players we could go for. We couldn't get both of them. Well, I suppose we could with the money Spurs actually have, but the question is, would we get both of them? No, we wouldn't. But Crystal Palace, that what's his name? Michael Olise? Again, I'm terrible at pronouncing names. He can play attacking midfield central. He can play left winger. And if I remember, he's about, what is he, 23, 24, something like that. 22, 23, whatever. Yeah, all right. His stats might not be brilliant at Palace, but I don't think anyone's are. He's at a much lower standard club than Spurs. Well, so it should be. And I personally think a young player like that, got some good pace on him and that, stick him out on the left. He could walk into that first place on the left or be solid competition, whoever we put there. Another player who I would absolutely love us to go for, but the price of him with the English 25% on top as well and everything, and I think most will agree with me on this one, Eze, again, from Crystal Palace. I think them 2 would be brilliant for us to buy. Could we afford both of them? I definitely think we could. I think one would cost about 65, 70. That'd probably be Eze, and the other I reckon we're getting for 45, 50. Spurs do have that sort of money. Now I know on that one I'm not necessarily looking at players who are outstanding quality now. But from what I've seen with them, they are more than good enough to start in our first 11. And they've definitely got more than enough potential to become very, very good players. So it's not just looking on a player for pure potential. Yeah, potential is going to come into this one, but they're already showing they can do it. And I think them two would be a very good shout. Or at least one of them, anyway. Right, Paul Brown, how you doing, mate? Right, evening, Dan. Hopefully all is well. Well, it is now that I've managed to get on here. Only took me an hour. To be fair, we need to wait and see who's coming before writing off. If Ange successfully adds to the squad, for Werner would make sense. Yeah, money-wise at 15 million, I get it, but it's what I've said over and over again. He would be nothing more than a backup player, and that's all my man's going to be. Surely everyone knows that. Right, if we went out and bought Eze and Elise, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it, or go out and get another quality left winger and that, and then we went and bought Timo Werner, you know what? Then maybe I could accept that. Because like I said, every squad as a whole, 25, you can't have 25 quality players in there. There will be a couple of backup players as such. Now, if we went and done that, I'll accept him. But if we go and buy him for 15 million as our left winger, with competition of what? Solomon. People say wait and see with him. Well, okay. But I don't think he's going to be nothing special either that can take us to another level. So the only other hope we got there is that we go and get a striker and stick Son back on the left. Not the best crosser of the ball, but we all know Son can do everything Werner can do and 10 times better and get it in the box and score a significant amount of goals and score more than double figures every season on the trot, even if he's playing from the left. I mean, this is the first time he's had significant amount of time as the striker, isn't it? I just don't get why we were even talking about this. I really don't. We want to win something at Spurs. Ange says he wants to win something. So why are you looking at players like Timo Werner full time? And I've got a feeling we're going to get him. Because again, it's got Levy written all over it. So if we go and buy him, is it Ange who's actually wanted him? Or is it Levy has said, well, he's only 15 million, so we'll snap him up. It takes up a place. But then it goes back to what I said earlier of what Ange said, no player comes into this team without me wanting them. So what is Ange doing now? Is he just saying what we want to hear? Or is he telling the truth? This, again, is another thing which makes me question things. Or is he just saying things to keep Levy happy? We all know you've got to keep Levy happy. Otherwise, otherwise you get the sack. We all know that one. So I don't know. I'm just lost on this one. And I suppose I just wanted to come on and have a rant about it. Right, Daryl, what are you saying there? If we are data-driven, still prove that's not why we are buying him. Well, there you go. There is a couple of reasons why you could say we'd go for him. But for me, it's mainly because he's 15 million. And that has got Spurs written all over it. It's got Levy written all over it. That's why I'll just keep quiet for a minute here. We go and get Werner. To me, it looks like nothing's changed. And to me, it looks like nothing is changing. Yet we're all hoping something will. Ange's saying he's going to win things. Yet we're still looking at players like Timo Werner. I know I just keep repeating it, but he's still trying to get it in my own head, really. And what's Charlie, what are you saying here? Nico Williams, 47 million, got to get him. Wouldn't be a bad buy. Not at all, mate. I mean, I know from what you said yesterday, you've got a different opinion on Werner. You don't think he'd be a bad call. If you actually want to come on here and debate it with me, mate, just me and you, that's fine by me. Leave me a message and I'll send you a link. That's not a problem. Right, Michael, Big up, Dan. Big up to you too, mate. Opal's going well. I mean, there's a good mate of mine, Mike. Known him for like 30 years. One thing I will tell everyone is he is a Liverpool supporter. But one thing with the man, he's very open-minded with football and very fair with it as well. And I know he's a bit scared at the moment because Liverpool don't seem to be scoring goals for the fun of it, like they usually do. Aren't you, Mike? Bit worried about that, bruv, aren't we? Okay, I've just had a message here, so I'm just going to sort invite out quickly. That will take a couple of seconds. Paste. There we go, Charlie. Come on and have your say, mate. I've just sent you the link in your WhatsApp. Right. So going back down to what people are saying here, Michael, what I've seen of him, I wouldn't waste 15 million on him. No, nor would I. I'd put that 50 million on top of another 40 million to go for someone like Oles, or like I say, I keep pronouncing his name wrong, or Eze. Eze is the one I would really want to go for. I know he plays attacking midfield central, but he plays on the right a lot, majority of the time, as far as I know. And personally, I think he'd take Kulusevski's place just like that at the moment, because Kulusevski just looks terrible at the moment as well. But everybody, I think, knows what I think about Kulusevski. I just think with Kulusevski, we play him totally the wrong way. A left-footed right winger that we want to play right down the bottom, basically, and cross it in. We all know he can't do it with his right foot. Maybe now and again he'll hit a fluke where he does bang it with his right foot, but we all know he has to step left or he has to play more inverted. Kulusevski is better as an attacking midfield central, or even use him as a double striker, the second striker, use him as a target man, plays back to goal. He's got the muscle for it to hold on to the ball, for Son to go past him and put it that way. That's another way you could look at him. But playing him on the right wing, he doesn't even do that for his country. Juventus even realised he wasn't good on the right wing and bought Chiesa and put him in the middle after about 8 games. So we get Eze, yeah, straight away. For me, he takes Kulusevski's place. Or even Johnson. Johnson, I'm starting to get a bit more faith in him because I'm starting to see more moments off of him. But for me, he's been a moment player all season. You'll see him for 10 minutes and then he disappears during the game. He'll score a goal or he'll get an assist. Yes, we all want that. But he's a very patchy player. But a couple of his goals have been important, so have his assists. But can we really afford to have a player in that team who's only going to show up for 10 minutes here and there? I don't think so. Will Johnson get better? For me, only time will tell. Right, got a guest here, Charlie. There you go, mate. How are we doing?
Good. Well, I think you've got... Sorry?
Go on. You were just
saying...
saying...
You've got a good debate here with the Werner stuff, but to be honest...
Come on then, give me your opinion about Werner.
If we get a Nico Williams in, or like a player to complement him, I think to get Werner in, he'd just be great. I think to have him and other player would be perfect. Only getting Werner is bad, but if we have like another player to complement him, I think that's perfect. Do you?
Right, so you're basically saying what I said earlier is if we go and get ourselves a new left winger, right winger, whatever, and then buy him as a bit of quantity to the squad sort of thing, it's acceptable, yeah?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the thing. That's the best thing, I think. You?
That's basically what I'm saying. I mean, I don't even want him at the club to tell you the truth. But if we was going to buy him as a backup player, an impact sub, whatever you want to call it, as long as we go get that left winger that we need, and the right winger, and the DM, I could accept that. But if we just go get Werner as our left winger, and we don't go and get another there, and we leave him to fight with who? Solomon, and then depends whether we buy a striker or not, whether Son goes back into the place. What progress have we made?
Yeah, none really. But I think seeing how Eze is with the club, his family had a box at our stadium. Madison was giving me a hug and all that stuff. I think Eze will come to our club. I'm not really too worried about that. So to have him and Werner, I think that's perfect. Or even like the Nico Williams, because he's been amazing for Bilbao. He's only like 20 something. He's amazing too. So just have one of them and Werner.
Didn't they just win a cup?
Yeah, they won a cup for the first time in like 30 years.
They won their Copa del Rey or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Copa del Rey.
I mean, I don't really follow Spanish football that much.
Me neither.
I don't know why. I just never had. I've always been more Italian, and obviously Premier League. But as far as I know, yeah, he won the competition with them, didn't he? The cup, and he's actually been playing pretty solid as far as I know. But like I say, I don't really follow the Spanish league too much.
Yeah, I get that. But he's a really decent player for his age, and for the price to get him, I think it's a really good player to
Well,
get.
that's why 9 times out of 10 they go abroad for the players, isn't it? Because if we go and get Eze, which I think we're more than capable of doing, or the other player, Michael Olosi, like I say, I can't pronounce his bloody name. I'm terrible at names. There's going to be an extra 25% on them because they're in the Premier League or they're English. That's just how it works in that aspect.
Yeah,
That is why
minimum 17 million or something for Eze.
70.
No, sorry, not 70, 60.
Yeah, I reckon if we slam 60 on the table with a deal of like, if we do A, B, C, D, we put it up to 75. I reckon we could get him because Crystal Palace aren't a big club. They might be a Premiership club, but money-wise, they're still very limited, aren't they? And they need their money coming in somewhere, and they don't get through the stadium or anything else, basically. So even though it'd be them selling one of their best players or both of their best players, they need that money, and we know it. But then is Levy going to try and pull one of his stunts of we'll give you 35 million, bargain it up to 50 million, and then someone else just comes in and goes, bang, 60 million, thank you, straight under our nose. How many times have we seen that happen?
Yeah, that is the problem. I think Levy will go for Werner because that's the easy option. I'm a bit scared for that. But if he doesn't do that, I'm all right with Werner.
Okay, right. I'm just going to read out what Cup people said here. Paul, Werner, impact sub. How many of his assists have led to a goal? He is an impact sub, through and through. He's a backup player, through and through. He's not getting into any big team.
Yeah, you're right with that. I think
our Spurs are a big team. I ain't even going to go into the detail of that one because I know where it goes. But money-wise, yes, we're massive, this and that. Are we a big team in football? No, we are not. We've
last 20
not
years,
won nothing in God knows how long. No, not at all. We are purely there for
the
money.
same standards.
You know what I mean? Leicester got better standards.
Yeah.
And they're now in in the
EFL
lower competition.
Championship.
Yeah, EFL Championship. That's the word I meant to use. And
talking about Championship, Somerville, have you heard of him? From Leeds?
No.
No, I've heard a lot of people saying that he's a really good player and Tottenham is looking for him. I've heard he's a very good player. I haven't heard a lot about him, but just talking about the Championship and Archie Gray. Have you heard of Archie Gray?
Yeah. Championship, you can always get good players. But again, it comes back to the point of coming from the Championship to the Premiership is a big bloody jump. And I'm talking about us getting players now who can take us places, not players that we get now who we hope can get better and potential. Like what I say with Alessi, I keep pronouncing his name wrong, and Eze, we know they're going to come to us good now. And we're all 90% sure, I would have thought, that we know they're going to get significantly better. Whereas there's going to be a player like what you're mentioning, which I presume we get him on more potential than anything. And is he good enough to walk into the first team? I want players that can walk into that first team now or fight that player all the way, that he has to look over his shoulder where he knows he makes one mistake for a game and he's out for 2 or 3 games. That's what I want at Tottenham. Not a backup like Timo Werner.
Yeah, I get that. But Somerville, he is looking very good. And I think Championship is not a league that you can write off. It's the same height as Eredivisie.
I agree.
So, because that's the same as saying I want to buy Jimenez, but it's basically the same as the Championship. So why would we? Do you know Jimenez, the Mexican striker? Do you want him or not?
He's one that definitely looks like it's worth going for. But you know what? I totally understand what you're saying with the leagues, because a lot of leagues are lower standard than Premiership, Spanish, and Italian, basically. They're the top, German. They're the top 4 leagues, whatever order you want to put it in. But we know the Premiership is the top. In my opinion, in its own weird way, the Championship is harder than the actual Premiership, because the Championship is so much more physical and people getting stuck in and fighting to get that promotion. In some ways, I think the Championship is actually harder than the Premiership.
It's really entertaining too. Really entertaining.
I can't say I watch much of it. I watch the odd game here and there, and if I do watch a game, it's probably Millwall, and that's just more for the fun of it, more than anything. But you're right on what you're saying. It's like players coming over from the Dutch league, whatever else, or Scottish league, which are considered lower standard leagues. Are they going to hack it in the Premiership? I suppose that's the question you can ask with anyone you buy. But I'm pretty sure there's certain ones you can buy where you're more sure that they're going to fall into place than others. I mean, one who I would love to get at Spurs, but I think he's getting on a bit now. I don't know whether he's turned 30 or not, but getting close to it. Domenico Berardi. Sassuolo. Yeah.
He is good. He is really good.
I know he hasn't
he's
played
pretty old, right?
that many games. He's about 20. He's 29, I think. I don't know whether it's 28, just turned 29, or he's 29 coming on 30. I can't remember. And we'd get him for dirt cheap as well, because by the look of it, they're second from bottom, and there's a very high chance the way they're playing, they're going to get relegated. So they will sell players. And I think he is one we could snap up for about 15 or 18 million. And he's round about the same age as Timo. But one thing you can definitely check on Berardi is he scores double figures every season without fail.
Yeah, exactly.
He can also play as a very good striker. He's similar to Son in that aspect. Like, he can play as a striker and he plays
and
on
the winger, right?
But yeah, he's mainly a winger, but he can play as a striker as well. Very good penalty taker as well.
And we need a scoring winner too. We need a scoring winner.
Exactly. Yeah, that is what we need.
That's actually a really good shout, Dan. Really good shout.
He's a player that I've liked for a very, very long time. I mean, I remember when they sold him to Juventus, and Juventus sold him straight back, basically. But that was a while ago. But with Sassuolo, again, terrible pronouncing things. There's a high chance they're going to go down. I'd rather go spend the 15 million on him than I would on Werner. Because one thing I can definitely say with Berardi, he knows how to put it in the back of the net. Werner, he don't. He really don't. He might score you 6 or 7 goals in a season, but he needs 10 attempts for every bloody goal. And you need someone better than that. And if we're going to play this style of you score 3, we score 4, we need more than just a striker. We need a winger and a winger who can both bang it in the back of the net, double figures every season without fail.
Yeah, but
you agree with that?
If we get But if we get Berardi and Werner, that would be 30 million in total. If we get him for 15, I think it'd be worth it. And that's only 30 million for 2 players. Both.
Berardi plays on the right though, yeah. So we'd still need to get our man on the left. Berardi, I could accept. For me,
Werner could play left and right.
First team.
Werner could play left and right.
For me, Berardi walks into that team on the right-hand side without a doubt. He walks in there. He's better than what we have got without a doubt. Whereas Werner don't. Like I said, we go and get someone for the right. We go and get someone for the left who can walk into that team now, unless we get a striker and stick Son on there. And then I can accept that we go for Werner as an impact sub and a backup player. But if we only get Werner on the left and don't buy no one else for it, and don't get ourselves a striker, then we're just doing what Spurs do all the time. And I just don't see it going nowhere. Right, what's Jason saying here? I would have Werner as a backup player. just get rid. I know Levy will keep him as a cheap option. Very true. Well, getting said here, Mackin. Definitely no way as a permanent signing. Such a frustrating player to watch. Also, don't get why he's getting all of the praises with some of his recent performances, just whipping the balls in. Now, on his defence, yeah, I don't think Werner is a terrible player. I think he's got pretty much everything a winger needs until it comes to the final third. I think he's better on the ball than Johnson. I think he's quicker on the ball than Johnson. I think he's got more balls than Johnson, where he's willing to take his man on nearly every time and not just kick it back. Whereas Johnson, majority of the time, he does pass it back. Now and again, he might try to use his pace to overtake the player, but he doesn't do it often enough. Not yet. Maybe the man just needs more confidence, or boy, whatever you want to call him. But in that aspect, I think Werner is actually good. It's just when it comes to that final third that we need, he hasn't got it. And he never has done, apart from when he was at Leipzig for the first time. He never has done. So, okay, there's been a couple of games where he's played all right. And there's another compliment I'll give the man, yeah? There's been a few games of him, which I've seen of late, where he started, where we seem to go basically stale in the middle with the 9 players from the other team now. None of our players seem to be moving about to try and get into a place that could be past that, except Werner on the far left, where he actually drops back a bit. He's totally open, but no one gives him the ball. So this is me defending him in that aspect. Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot. Have you?
Yeah, I have, and I feel like I don't think the other team has a lot of confidence. The rest of the team has a lot of confidence in him. That's how it feels when they don't give the ball. Like Doggy has a lot of chance to give him the ball to the left, but he just doesn't always get it. You know what I mean? I feel like if he'd get more chances on the ball, I think he'd do way more, because the chances he gets now is not the same as, let's say, a Johnson gets in the game. Johnson gets the ball way more times if he's in the same spaces as Werner would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if Son was on the left, people would look and pass the ball over a lot more, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe
I
like
do
start
believe
him
that.
maybe start him as a striker for one game. That sounds very, very weird, but just see how it goes against Burnley or against Sheffield. Because if he doesn't get the ball on the left, maybe he would get it in the middle. And let's say he gets more confident in the middle against like a Burnley or a Sheffield or our last place. We can rotate very easily. Just to give him like 20 minutes as a striker, see how he does, and then we make our verdict. Because maybe he's a better striker than he is a left winger in our team. You never know. We haven't seen it yet.
I have. With the shots he's had on goal, there's about 5 or 6 I could name where he's had basically an open goal with just the keeper in front of him, and he hasn't even got it at the keeper. He hasn't even kicked it at the keeper. He's kicked it wide on the far right or over the top or whatever. So I can state that I've seen otherwise. What I'm going to do on here quick, because like I say, not going to be a late one. If anyone wants to join on here to give their opinion on Timo Werner, there's the link at the bottom. I want to hear someone else's opinion if they're saying we should keep him and he should be our first buy, because I'd love to hear what someone says on it. I really would. Right, Daryl Denton. I could name 50 players, but I know the club won't get them. Yeah, couldn't we all, mate? But I'm sure out of those 50, Spurs could get 1 or 2 of them. Like I said, with the 2 I've named, we've got the money to do it. We are bigger. We are looking like we're going to get Champions League. So shouldn't we be going for Champions League quality players if we get the Champions League, which I think it's not unwritten, but we're finished top 5 and 5th should get us the Champions League. Would you
Exactly,
reckon?
and we're FFP kings, so we've got the highest FFP of all, so we can get whoever we really want.
Yeah, that's half the problem. That's where if we go into this one, we go into the Levy thing. Technically, from what I read in that, we've got over 400 million we can touch without even getting looked at. But
yeah, but you know Levy.
No, he wants
to be. He wants to build a bloody hotel.
No, exactly. So that one it doesn't come into it. I think Ange's going to get his bit of money. There you go. And that's what we're going to buy. And under his nose, I think Levy will just go in there and go, bang, 15 million, Werner. There you go, Ange, deal with him, basically. And then Ange is obviously going to come up and say, yes, I picked him. Yes, I wanted him. And then is it that he's almost turning into a puppet, just like the rest?
Yeah, exactly. I think, but Ange's a bit more stubborn than to be honest, Conte was bloody stubborn too. I don't know how.
That's why I like him.
Yeah, I didn't like the style of play that Conte did, but as a manager, as a person, I did. But at the end, he just got a bit of a dick. You know what I mean? About how
totally. He's done it at every club he's been to. But the thing you got to give credit with Conte is he finished 4th place. We ain't going to go back to just talking about Conte again. But again, with the players he had, he couldn't play his style. Like what people are saying now, with the players Ange's got, he can't necessarily play his style. And that was exactly the same with Conte. And his team was absolutely crap, and he still got it 4th place. So credit where he's due at the end of the day. But we all know Conte is a 2-year man, and at the end of the 2 years, he totally destroys what he's made. He's done it nearly everywhere he's been, in Chelsea, Spurs, whatever. That's just Conte. I actually think Ange and Conte are actually very similar. Very similar. Now, they both play total opposite styles of football, yeah? But both very stubborn in their way of, it's my way or no way. And I think they're both quite more than willing to speak their mind. It's because Conte will do it. How shall I describe this? Conte will do it more like me. Conte will just blatantly stand there and tell you how it is. Don't really care about the words. He'll just say it how he is. And if he upsets people, bollocks to him, basically. He really don't care, yeah? He'll say it how he is. That's how I am. Some people find it rude. Some people find it offensive. Well, if you ask a question, there's your answer.
Straight to the point.
And exactly. And that's what Conte is like. Yeah. That was one thing I do like about the manager. But yeah, he did turn into we all know he's a prick through and through.
Yeah.
But Ange, he seems to speak his mind, but I think he does it in more of a code. He does it in more of a, he'll say it with, how shall I put it, with mate at the end of it. In more of a friendly way, he'll say it. He'll say it more coded, more friendly. He
knows how to win over the
friendly.
hearts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what he does. He wins over all the hearts, and everybody loves him, including me, of course. But I think with Conte, Levy didn't really back him up, to be honest, because he wanted to get Adomashvili, he wanted to get Bastoni. Instead, he got Longley and he got Kulusevski. But Kulusevski in the end was a good player, but Longley.
Kulusevski was good when we got him. We all know that.
Yeah.
That is why we're so pissed off with him. But when you want for a player like Belotti, Inter, and you go and get Longley, and then next to him you've got Sanchez and Dyer, you're going to be quite broken, aren't you? You're just going to. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't just walk away then. I'd look at that and I'd just be like, is there actually even a point? But he's still got a fourth place. So credit where it's due.
But right, I didn't get why Levy didn't. Sorry, you do it.
It's all right, mate. Come on.
I didn't get why Levy didn't give him all the complete backing or like a bit more, because if he would have, I think if Conte would have had a bit more players, we wouldn't play fun football. We would have gone to Europe last year. No doubt about it.
Well, it's already proved that with that style of play, you do win things, and you do score goals, and you don't concede as many. If you've got the right players to do it, you just need to have a very strong back three with very quick wing backs, quite a solid midfield with a striker. And that is what we've got now. That is what I keep saying. I think Conte's style now with the team that we got would work wonders. But that's all going back to Conte, this and that. My main issue at the moment is Timo Werner. So I'm just going to go on to what a couple of the crowd have said, basically.
Okay.
Mapping. He just makes decent runs, can't anticipate his passes, doesn't have a good IQ, can't break low block finishing, don't even want to talk about it. He just makes decent runs and he's good on the ball. It's pretty much everything I've said, mate. I don't know about the low IQ thing. I think he has actually got the right IQ for it because he does get in the positions, he does get in the right places. He just can't finish it.
Yeah, but that's what you have to give him, though, that he is always in the right positions.
He is. I do not think he is a terrible player. I just do not think he is good enough for what we want Spurs to do. Now, if we wanted to be a mid-table club and maybe just have a run in the League Cup or something, then yeah, I get it. But we're meant to be fighting, like going for a top four, then wanting to go for the title, so Ange says, wanting to win FA Cups and everything. That's not the player you go for.
Then we go for like an Eze.
I think Eze would be a brilliant buy. Or their left winger, Alisi, whatever his, I can't pronounce his name. I keep saying it. But I think that would be a brilliant one to go for because I think they've both got pace. They've both got a bit of power in them. They can cross the ball. They can pass the ball. They can both play attacking midfield central as well. And it would be an overall good support for the front three, basically.
And they complement Maddison. So if Maddison doesn't have a good game, we just swap him out. Because Maddison has not been good since the last 15, since his injury.
No, he hasn't. I think we're seeing moments of him again, but he hasn't even been close to standards like Basuma. I mean, Basuma is probably the player out the entire team that I've been the most pissed off with or depressed about because I've picked him right up at the season where I personally think he had more to his game than Benson Corcoran for us. Because I've seen for a season when he was at Brighton, Basuma totally dominate the midfield and basically the most wanted midfielder out of the top five, like bar the top five clubs basically, or top six clubs. Even Liverpool were willing to pay 60 million for him. I've seen him at Brighton dominate it against Spurs, totally run Arsenal ragged in the middle, and City, and Liverpool, and Man U, and many other ones at Brighton when he played for him.
I think that season that he didn't play with Conte really just took a toll on him. And then he came back and then he played a lot and then he got injured and then he got a red card. And afterwards just hadn't seemed to get himself back. He feels like those shots he took last game. It was good that he shot because we're a shot scarce team.
Yeah, I was happy with that. Even Højbjerg had shots. That's another thing I've been shouting for. But go on, finish what you're saying and I'll go over to that one.
Yeah. But I feel like since that injury and since their red card, he's just been slacking. And the same with Maddison. I feel like them two, they were so good before the injuries and before the red cards and before
they were the best two in the Premiership at the time, weren't they, really?
We thought Maddison was the signing of the season, and now he's just playing. I think Bentancur's having a better job now, And it sounds weird, but he's like Lo Celso is doing a better job creating stuff in some games. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, Bentancur's got a little bit more to prove this season. We know he's had major injury. That ACL can change a player or end a player. I mean, look, Virgil van Dijk's only having his first good season by his standards after he had that injury. I've seen that injury end players, like totally finish them off. And Bentancur had about 7 games straight where he was bad, and by his standards, he was terrible. But I think he can come back to standards. I think we played him too early a couple of times. But Bissouma, it's frustrating because I have seen with my own eyes, and I'm sure everyone else has, and we saw it at the start of the season, how good he can dominate a game. But are we just playing in the wrong way as well? Because for me, he's not an out-and-out defensive midfielder. He's a box-to-box. He's played DM a few times at Brighton and that, but he's box-to-box through and through. If anything, I think Bentancur's more of a defensive midfield than Bissouma, because he did it at Juventus for, what, 4 years, 3 years straight, won things. But the difference is with him, he's good at playing the defensive mode, but he's also a deep-lying playmaker as well. I don't think that's what we need there. I did at one point until a couple of other people showed me a few points with it, and it changed my opinion because I'm more than willing to listen if someone gives me good opinions. Yeah, we need more of an anchor man there, like an old school Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, all those sort of things. We need
Paulinho, man.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Because
50 million, I thought it was.
I mean, 50. Another one who I'd say have a look at, who went out to East Asia, whatever it is, the Arab one and that. What's he's from Barcelona?
Oh, Mitrovic. You mean Mitrovic?
No. Chiesa, huh? From the one who came from AC Milan, went to Barcelona.
Oh, yeah, who went to Barcelona.
And then he went over there. Chiesa. He's another one who I think I would have gone for straight away, but he's one you can definitely see he's only got money on it. Right, so just going on to the sides a second. 3SS Sports, big up Dan, big up to you too, mate. We made the worst of a good situation this January. Yeah. What else do you want me to say on it, really?
But to be honest, Dragusin was a good.
Dragusin, yeah, we've bought him on potential more than anything, but the only time I'd actually watched Dragusin play a game, I actually watched him play a whole game for Genoa, was when it was against the team, my second team, Inter Milan. Yeah. And their season has been shocking on how good it is. They've only lost one game, and if I remember right, they're about 15 points clear at the top. Give them another win, and they've won the season, basically. And when he played there as a centre-back, he gets forward. He's brilliant at heading the ball. He was the one who actually half dominated the game from defence and got the header to get the draw with Genoa and Inter. And there's not been many who could do that with Inter Milan in Italy. That's the only reason I knew anything about him. And I think, when was it I watched it? It was just after Christmas. And then literally 2 weeks later, we went for him. So that's the only reason I remembered him. So, right, what's been said here by Mappen? But yeah, bringing him to replace Gil or Solomon does make sense. We've had in 2 quality forwards like Eze, Rafinha, yeah. Neto, no. Neto, great, yeah, but his kneecaps are Weetabix, basically. So Neto's a no-go for me. But for quality of player, I totally agree. But for his kneecaps and glass ankles, just no, wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. And Neto or Dani Olmo, yeah, we like to start to perform week in, week out. This is basically what I've been saying, and Charlie's been agreeing with me here. If we go and get ourselves a good left winger, good right winger, and that, and then, because I think Gil's going to go anyway, and then go and get Werner as the backup player as such, because I can dig it. I can handle that. But again, if we only go and get Werner as our left winger, basically, and no one else really there, no.
Yeah, exactly. No. This list was 300 million of players. That would never happen. I think even getting one of them is a lucky statement.
Yeah. Right, what's Mark saying here? Levy will get Werner. Our problem is getting players out. Still got a lot to do at that front. Yeah, I don't think it's such a problem getting some of the players out that we got now. It's just how much is Levy going to ask for them. I don't think getting rid of Brian Gill would be hard. It's just how much Levy would want for him. That's going to be more the question. because there'll be more than enough teams in Spain that will snap him straight up. What do you reckon?
I think you're right. And the only one I think that's going to be hard is Tanguy and Ndombele.
20 mil, I think we'd get for him easy.
20? I think
20
max
million
10.
euros.
Yeah, but
yeah,
maybe.
No, sorry, I'll back that down. No, I'll go with you on that one. 10, 12 million, gone straight away. No, I'll make you right there.
Because I feel like the La Liga doesn't have a lot of money for that. I think 20 million for a La Liga side team, that's a lot of money.
That was me thinking more from the Premiership stage. You're right.
Yeah.
I'll make you right. I'll step back on that one. Yeah, 10,
but I think
8 or 10 mil, gone. See you later. We're not paying his wages. We ain't going to pay him anyway. So just kick him in. Just piss off, basically. There you go.
And Ndombele, do you think we're going to get rid of him because nobody wants him? I think, or just give him away, like free transfer. You know what I mean?
I don't even think we'd get rid of him free transfer, mate. I mean, have you seen him playing at Galatasaray? They all say the same thing. He's more interested about ordering a Big Mac while he's playing than he is actually playing. The annoying thing is about that fella is we've all blatantly seen it, and other teams he's played at, he's got skill. And he has really got some skill. But I don't think I've ever seen a lazier player. Do you think that's a harsh comment, or do you think that's true?
Sorry, what did you say? Just quote.
I don't think I've ever seen a lazier player, more lazy than him.
I think you're completely right, man. He was like the guy. That's what we got. And that was the record transfer fee, right, for Tanguy and Ndombele. He was the guy at Lyon. He was amazing. Did all these skills. Had the potential of anybody, but he just seemed to ruin it within a year because he just liked eating so much. I feel like he gets paid. But how much?
He looks overweight, doesn't he? He even looks it.
Yeah, but how much does he get paid a week? Like 200 grand or like 150 grand?
Something like that. 150, 200, something like that.
And we're still paying half.
The only one who I can think lazier than him is, see what I mean? I'm terrible at remembering names now. Who was our striker with Robbie Keane who we sold to Man U?
I can't think of that.
I can't think of his bloody name now. And he was an epic striker as well. One of the best we've ever had. Went to Man U and totally smashed it there. Someone do tell me his name. I cannot remember. The one who played beside Robbie Keane. It's right on the end of my tongue, and I can't picture it. But I think everybody knows who I mean. He was so bloody lazy. Berbatov, that's the one. Brilliant striker. One of the laziest players.
That's from the comments, by the way. That's from the comments. It's from Rob Frank.
Yeah. I'm just not that far ahead on the comments yet. One of the laziest players I've ever seen. But yeah, skill was an understatement. And when he turned up for that moment, he scored. Now, the only player on the team for me that can be lazy is a striker. He can disappear for 89 minutes. As long as he scores that chance on the minute, he's done his job. Everybody else on that team can't afford to be lazy. I mean, I know the goalkeeper just stands there and does his job, but a striker is the only one who can be lazy. And Ndombele, with what you're saying, I don't even think we could give him. Deadwood is an understatement. He's when he's on the pitch, he's more like a statue, isn't he? He's just the only thing he'd be good at doing is getting in the way of the ball, and that's if the ball was kicked at him. I just think, mate, he's got to go, but wages wise, we can't even give that man away. Right, what's Mark saying here? Levy will get Werner out of problem getting players out. Still, no, I already read that one. Sorry. Somerville pulling up trees. And what's Roy saying here? Can see Skippy in a deal with Palace. Now, you know what, mate? You know what? That's not a bad shout, yeah? I don't think Skip is as bad as everyone says, but I definitely don't think he's good.
Do you think he's good enough for Palace?
I think he'd get in Palace team.
Yeah, but I think he wouldn't be a starter week in, week out.
I think he'd get more games than he does at Spurs now.
Yeah, he would. But how much do you think that would get off the Eze deal? Because I don't think he could put off more than 10. I think it would put like maximum
10 would be
10
fine. Yeah, maximum 10. And well, maybe even a little bit more than that because it's not actually involving money as such. It's part of the deal. Maybe even up to 15 million Levy could squeeze for him because we all know Levy can, when it comes to business, there's no one better at getting the money, spending it, but getting the money. No one can fault that man as a businessman. He's ruthless, sociopath, businessman through and through, and he can make money. The fella knows how to make a pound out of a penny. You can't take it away from him. But where he's also English, I think that would also add on the price of him as well.
Yeah, homegrown player.
Homegrown, swapping for a homegrown player basically with Eze. I reckon he could knock 10 million off the price with it.
Yeah, but that's
10,
perfect.
12,
I think Daniel
15.
Levy, that makes it, because he is a bit of dead wood in our club. He isn't our future anymore. I remember we always said Skippy is our future, but that's the olden days.
Well,
now.
where was it he had that really good season? Was it Norwich?
I don't remember exactly, but there was this. I don't know. It was like 5 years ago or something.
He had a really good season with him and got an injury in that. But that is not a bad shout there, boy. Do you know what? That is not a bad shout at all. I don't think.
Great shout, actually.
I mean, I think that's actually a pretty good call. Levy, hope you're watching this, mate, because I really don't think that is a bad idea. I must admit, that's one of the better ones I've seen anybody say in a talk or on here, because I haven't thought of it like that. And I don't know anyone else has said that, because we all just sit here and slate Skippy that he just ain't good enough, which I don't think he is good enough for Spurs. But that's a really good shout, mate. Fair play to you. Well done. I think that's a brilliant shout. Right, Daryl Denton. You sign players to compete in the first team. You don't just sign for the bench. Any fan who can think that are wrong. Yeah. You've got to have some players. There's always going to be some players that are backup that you sign for a bench, yeah. But that is not what we need right now. We need players for that first 11 and on that subs bench that can walk into that team when needed. Not the massive drop like we've got up front more than anything at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But you sign players to compete. But I feel like sometimes you need somebody for the bench who is just not exactly at that quality, who has the potential. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have a good bench, you're basically going nowhere. Because imagine Pep Guardiola's without a bench. I know he's only got first team, but without having a rotation squad, or like Klopp or something, or Arsenal, without them having a good bench. Because Trossard isn't good for the first team. I think he's good enough.
You know what? I think he's underrated. I'd love Trossard at Spurs. I think he's a really good player, personally.
I think he is. But for Arsenal, Gabriel Martinelli and Saka, they're miles above him.
Yeah, I get that. But I do think it's not a massive drop when Martinelli comes off and Trossard comes on. It's not a massive drop. All right, it's a step down a little bit. Call it half a step. Whereas at Spurs, we take Werner off, and who do we bring on as such? It is either way. Mind you, it's not a big drop from Werner, but still, there's not quality there to take a quality place as such. All right, just getting a smile off Samuel. Hope you're doing all right as well, mate. And Rob Frank, big up to you too. Giant Rabbit, how you doing, mate? I haven't seen you about for a couple of shows on other ones. You're asking me, Giant Rabbit, to be respectful to that chat. Have you lost your noodles? Yes, mate, I do know what you're like. But usually you say pretty fair stuff. Right. Levy knows how to put the team together. That's just good enough to get up to top 4. This team is good enough for top 4. The only thing I question on is the style we're going to play, because it's always going to concede goals is the way I see it. What we're just going to have to wait is for the future and see where it goes from there, basically. Daryl Denton, if we finish 7th or 8th, then Werner, I won't be asked if he's going in Champions League trying to keep top 4, then he's not for me. Exactly. And we are not going for 7th, 8th, whatever. And with that team, we're better than that. I'd say we're a top 6 club with the first 11 we have got at the moment.
Do you actually think that? Because I thought if I had seen this starting 11 last year, I would have thought we wouldn't have gone this high.
Yeah, but a lot of that comes down to you see it last year because you didn't know half of them last year.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, like the potential that Ange has brought out of all the players is undeniably great. You know what I mean?
It is. I don't just say that I want Ange out and that I think he's a poor manager. Not at all. I think he's made some very poor decisions, like what he did with the League Cup, and also his subs in general have not been good. And wait until we're 3-0 down before he makes them. But I do think he's learning and getting his act together. I'm just more worried about the plan B side with him and that. But we've already had that chat with that.
We saw a bit of plan B at Aston Villa and against City, remember? Because I mean, like he is implementing it a couple of times. He just needs to do a bit more. But I feel like next year will be way better. I've had a feeling.
Let's just hope so. Let's just hope so. And I left my house this morning scraping my knuckles. I bet you did, mate. That's all I got with that one. going to scroll it down a bit more because I'm well behind with people on here. Rob, what you saying here, mate? With a better caliber of players, Conte would have had a Sun title challenge last season. I totally agree. Now, again, no one really knew of Adoji. I knew about him because of the Serie A, and I knew we'd bought him basically. So I kept an eye on him at Udinese, and he had a really good season in Serie A. Another one that I knew about was Vicario. When everyone went off their head that we went for him instead of Raya, I told everybody, don't worry, mate. This fella's got potential. He's good. He's a good goalkeeper. But again, it's only because I follow that league that I know a couple of things about it. Whereas you could sit here and probably tell me anything and anything about the Spanish league. I don't know, just an example. And I wouldn't know much about it because I really don't follow it as such. A lot of people only follow the Premiership. I mean, I do keep track of what goes on in Germany. If I do like a German team, it's always been Dortmund, and been to their ground a couple of times. Lovely ground, a bit dated now, but I'd say the German league in its own way is the closest to the Premiership for the style that he's played. I mean, it's definitely physical, that's for sure. And there's definitely skill in there as well. So what's Paul saying here? Just refer to initial post. If we get proven players in the summer, 15 million may just make sense for Werner. Yeah,
that's what we said right?
earlier. Yeah, and I agree with that. I totally do agree with that. But it's, are we going to buy those players that matter, or are we just going to settle for?
I think we'll get the players, don't we? I think we will. I think Ange knows it. I think he knows we need to get a CDM, a striker, left wing, and a defender. I think he knows it, and if he doesn't, he'll have a good chat with Levy.
Well,
and let's
just hope he would. I mean, but the main thing I want to see us go for first off is that DM, because that is what we definitely need to protect that defense. Because them two defenders, even though the quality they are, they can't deal with that. And the other thing that scares me on that one, I know it's repeating from what I've said on other shows and yesterday, is the minute that Van der Ven's gone, Ange's system pretty much falls to pieces because we haven't got the pace to counter us. And whether people see it or not, Van der Ven is going to get injuries every season. The way he plays, a player that plays with the sprint power that he does is going to get hamstring problems. And let's hope it don't happen, but sooner or later he'll get that mega one where he has to literally change his style of play and has to play a lot slower. But I think he's good enough to do that as well. But for Ange's style, no.
But that's where we need a Paulinho, you know what I mean? Like a really good, sturdy defensive midfielder, what we said yesterday. Because then they'll have a lot more cover. So all their sloppy chances won't break through.
Yep, it was Norwich. It was right there. Yeah, if I remember at Norwich, sorry about that, going back to Skip, Norwich, if I remember, he got their player of the season or something, if I remember correct. And then he got that injury just before he came back to us, or just when he came to us and was out for quite a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It was quite a long time ago. I wasn't on Spurs like as I was now. So I don't know exactly.
Well, you're, what is it, 16 now, aren't you? And that was about 4 years ago. So 4 years for me, isn't a lot, but for you, it is a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, I've been following it a lot since 2021, since like COVID area.
I can actually say I make myself sound old here, but I can actually say I've been alive when Spurs have won things. Well, not a lot, but still won something. So R709, big up panel, big up to you too, mate. And Bertie Hotspur, hello to you, mate. Hope everything's going good for you. And what's Giant Rabbit saying here? You're too serious, mate. Look, I just find it very hard to just be... Do you know what? There's nothing wrong with having hope in life. Not just football, but life, yeah? There is nothing wrong with it. But if you give yourself if you just live on hope, then where you're going to go? That's like me doing the lottery and hoping I win the lottery. I do the Euros every week, twice a week without fail. And I know I'm not going to win it, but if you don't do it, you don't know, do you? So there's nothing wrong with having hope. But then there's also being too positive, because all you do is just get kicked in the teeth every time. And you might as well get your head slammed into the curb at the same time as well. I feel
like there's some channels out there.
Oh, sorry. Go on. No,
I feel like there's some channels out there, I'm not going to name any name, but they're just only spraying up positivity. But there's never really any negativity. And I feel like that's the channel with the largest audience. and I think they should like. That's why I love the Tottenham away and when they do collaborations, because they, you know, what I mean, Stell always talks some sense into everybody. I feel I'm very positive too, but sometimes I feel like channels can be way too positive to put a very positive image, even though it isn't that positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Right. Just going on said here. Good football therapy, Dan. Thanks. I know my side can be a bit depressing at times, but either way. And what's that? Hemingway, I think you've got someone saying hello to you there, Charlie. And
That's
what
a
we
mate
got
of mine.
saying that okay, you're right, fella.
I've
How
got
you
2 more minutes,
doing?
by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. I haven't got much longer either. I've already got the wife talk like looking through the door. Right, Hope Levy demands therapy, mate. Look, like I was saying, there's nothing wrong with having hope, and you can be too negative. But if we're going to be realistic, being realistic, sadly, as a Spurs supporter, is being more negative than positive. Because realistically, what positive do we have to show over the past like nearly 20 years, apart from what Pochettino nearly done for us, but
Yeah,
still didn't get us anything?
nothing really. We got second place, third place. We lost the 2-horse race. I mean, like, to be honest, we should have won way more in the last 20 years. We just keep bottling it.
Well, there's only one worse for bottling it, and that's because they bottled the league, and that's Arsenal. But even when they was at their worst, they still won FA Cups,
Exactly.
and we
I've
get nothing.
got my mum knocking on the door. I think I've got to go, but thank you for having me on
Yeah,
again.
go on, mate. Thanks. No problem. Thanks for coming on, mate. You've always got a good opinion. That's why I don't mind you on here, and that's why obviously Stell and others don't mind you on it. You take care of yourself, yeah?
Are you on Tottenham to away on Friday?
I'm not sure. I'll probably be on there after the Newcastle game. I think he's going to do that next day after the Newcastle one. So either way, if I am, I'll catch you on there. If not, I'm sure I'll see you on here again at some stage. Take care of yourself, yeah?
Have a good one. Bye.
See you later, mate. Right. So I suppose nearly at the end of that one, where I've had my rant about Werner, we've also had some very good opinions off Charlie there. But I still haven't seen no one give me a good reason to keep him, like to actually buy him firsthand. I'll repeat it one more time. If we go and get a solid left winger or a solid striker to move Son back into left wing, go and get ourselves our right winger, that DM, and then we go and get Werner, I can accept that. But if we only buy him for that position, I just don't see where or what it can take us. And I haven't seen anyone come up with a solid reason, except unless we literally buy him as backup because we have bought others. So just going to go through the sides quickly. Right, what's Bertie saying here? Hotspur, so true indeed. Yep, it is. And Roy, I'm 47, been supporting Tottenham over 40 years, and South London always loyal. Yeah, mate, I'm 43 myself. I know some don't believe it. Maybe I've just had a gift of looking younger. My wife gets the ump when I get told I only look early 30s, whereas other people might think otherwise, but she gets the ump with that. So, and what we're saying here, Roy, great guest. Yeah, he is. I mean, spoke to him first on Stel Show, if I remember him right. And for a 16-year-old fella, he knows his football. That's why I don't mind him on here. I also think it's good on a show when you got, like, say the show we did yesterday, just an example. You got two so-called adults, maybe not act like it, like me and my mate Dave. Then you got an older fella who's been there, seen there, done it, got the storybook, as in Adrian, who makes some solid points. But the three of us see it from different sides as such. Me and Dave see it more from one side of our age generation. Adrian will see it from a total different one. But then we've also got a younger fellow who comes on here now who knows his football, but sees it more from his generation. So you're seeing more what different age gaps think of Tottenham, what they can do, what they should have done, what should happen. And yeah, I've got no problem with letting anyone on here, same as the other shows and that, with someone, as long as they know what they're talking about. And at least they've got to be over 16. But yeah, the more opinions, the better, as long as they know what they're talking about. And so the last one I'm going to say on here is Roy Chester, Top Man Dan, Top Man to you too. I'm going to cut it short there because there isn't really an audio evening to you. There isn't really much more I can go on to here. I just don't want us to buy Werner unless we get others up there. And I just so much want that defensive midfielder now. Because again, I know it's repeating it, but I just cannot see how this style can work for trying to go for a Premier League. Top 4, yeah, and definitely he can win a cup with that. But it's too many conceding goals. Too many. But as people are saying, if he gets his DM and gets the other players he needs, hopefully he can change that over to the way he wants it and we become less conceding. With the point, I'll go with that one quick then. Sins did just mention it. If you go by the stats of that, and this is going by what Stel showed me on his show, we're not actually bad at giving away chances and counter-attacks and everything else, even though we do get caught out time and time again on the flanks because they're naked, basically. There's nobody there. But it's the chances we do give away. I didn't really think about it like that until Stel pointed it out, so fair play to him. And I don't think many others did either. But it's the quality of chances we give away. Nearly the same time, every time, straight across the goal, nobody there, in the back of the net. Where even Timo Werner could probably finish 5 out of 10 of them. And that is what we're doing all the time. So something's got to change. It can't stay like this. I mean, that last goal we conceded, some people blame Van der Ven for being out of position. No, that was not his fault. That was purely down to Udogie because, well, not just down to him, because Basuma should have covered his ass as well. But that was mainly down to Udogie getting caught out of place with the ball basically going past him. And that's 4 games on the trot now that Udogie has been lazy. And he's been a very good player for us. But 4 games on the trot, he's had that done to him now. And I think 2 of them have come to goals where it's gone past him and he just jogs after it. No. But okay, it's gone past him and that. The DM, Basuma, should be covering his arse, but he's not. So Van der Ven had to come out, which then brings Romero forward. Porro's still trying to get back from the other end of the pitch where he's so high up it. Straight across the goal, totally naked there. Keeper stuck on his own. What chances he got? Bang, straight in the back of the net. Every time. It's frustrating. Yeah, my table's feeding it as well. It's annoying. So, and what's Paul saying here? To be honest, if we're all in agreement, would be very boring, short stream. Exactly, mate. There's nothing wrong with a good debate. Nothing wrong with it at all. My opinion or fact is what I try and go with all the way. But if someone can give me a fact or give me a good idea to look otherwise, I'm more than willing to put my hands up and say, do you know what? I got that one wrong. But nobody's done this to me with Werner yet. So I'm right as far as I'm concerned on this one. Call it opinion, but no one's given me solid to buy him as anything but backup if we get others. So no, we should not be going for Werner. Right, that one at Luton's away still hounds me. Yes. Yes, I know what one you're on about. But why has Udogie been doing that lazy one just lately? Like what Rob says here, ball watching. I don't know. He hasn't done it all season. I know he's had his moments in that. He's a relatively young player, fresh to the Premiership and that, but one of the best left wing backs in the Premiership already, and people know it. And he's only in my eyes, Udogie is only going to get better because he's good enough now, and his potential is sky high as well. But why has he got lazy all of a sudden? Is he knackered? Well, he keeps making more than enough sprints after he does that up the other end of the pitch. And yeah, ball watching, but that was more Basuma, I'd say, was ball watching. Udogie, the player got past him and he just jogged after him and then thought, do you know what? I can't be bothered. He'll sort it out. But yeah, there you go. Straight across, Van der Ven out of position, Romero in the middle, and just straight across the goal and in. Same ones every bloody time. So, last one here, Bertie Hotspur, I believe 3 at the back with wing backs, sacrificing our midfield or attacker, maybe. Mate, that is basically what I've been saying. That's Conte style you're talking about. Just, I don't want to keep going back to Conte. I don't. It's done. It's dusted. It's over. But Dragusin, Romero, Van der Ven. there's a pretty solid back three. Yeah, Dragoosen's still got stuff to prove, but it's better than what we had. I mean, I know Dyer's getting in Munich's Champions League team. God knows how he's doing that, but fair play to him in that aspect. Either that or Munich are just that desperate. But, so the back three I've said is more solid than we've had at Spurs for God knows how long, since Vertonghen and Alderweireld. And then you got Porro as your right wing back. Defending not his strongest point, but he's definitely got better this year. But as your right wing back to get up the pitch, because you're sort of playing with a mix of 5 at the back and 3 at the back, and then bringing it 5 in midfield, whatever. Udogie is the wing back to get forward as well. And then you can go and play 3 midfielders, as in Bentancur, Basuma, well, no, not Basuma, Sarr, with Maddison in the middle to press forward. And then you could use Son up there as your sort of poacher, with Kulusevski as, which I think he'd be good at, a target man. Play with his back to goal. He's got the muscle to do it. It usually takes, up until the past couple of games, 2 players to sandwich him to get him off the ball. Now you think, with that team there and the pace that's got that I've just said, to play a counter-attacking style of football, I just think it suits this team down to a T. But that's all ifs, buts and maybes. Again, it's just opinion on that one. But I just think it's mad how the team we've actually got now suits Conte's style more, I think. But it's done and dusted. We're only going to go Ange's way, and let's hope it works. Maybe if he gets the right players, it will work. Only time will tell. What's Mark saying here? Dan, I think we will buy a striker, have Sonny on the left wing and Werner as backup. You know what, mate? That's another one that if we go and get that striker, which I'm not sure we will do, because I think that's probably going to be one of the hardest positions to get. I mean, if you go back 10 years, getting a defender was not easy, but there were strikers everywhere. Even if you go back 15 years, defenders were few and far between, but there were strikers everywhere. Now it seems to have gone to a generation 10 years later, where there's plenty of defenders to get out there. Plenty. But name me some good strikers. Like, seriously good strikers. It's very limited, not just in the Premiership, but all over Europe, in the world of football, basically. Striker is going to be the hardest, and obviously most expensive, most probably, to get, because there is such a lack of them. So I wouldn't mind going for, what's his face at Newcastle? Isaac? Is that his name? Isaac? Again, terrible pronouncing names. He's one who I wouldn't mind going for. Ivan Toney, do I want him at Spurs? I think he plays good. I think he's a very bit of a poor man's Son. Not Son, sorry, Kane. He plays similar to Kane, except he's quicker, but he's just not as good in every basically way Kane is. That's why I say he's a bit of a poor man's Kane. But I think he would work for our team. I just don't like his attitude. I think he could be very toxic. Now, there's nothing wrong with a player having arrogance to him. Nothing wrong with it at all, I don't think. Because all the best players, I'd say 9 times out of 10, do have that arrogance to them. They have that arrogance of, do you know what? I just missed 4 chances. I couldn't care less because I'm going to bang that next one in and not be scared of it. But again, maybe that's just opinion. But I think a striker is going to be the hardest one to get. But if we do get a striker and Son gets pushed over to the left to also cover the middle when needs be, I could see why we'd go for Werner. But then what happens if our striker goes that we've bought and gets injured for a month, and then we have to put Son back in the middle, and then you've got Werner to take his place? I suppose the only other way we could cover that would be putting Johnson on the left and Kulusevski back on the right with whoever we buy, even though I think you probably get more out of Kulusevski on the left than on the right, but I don't think either for him. Attacking midfield central, or like he did with Juventus a couple of times as well, literally play as the second striker, as the target man, and Ronaldo probably loved him because he held the ball for Ronaldo enough times, quick through ball, because Kulusevski has got skill. It's just getting him, playing him the right way. If you don't play a player the right way, you're not going to get the best out of them. But I do agree that he has not been delivering for us. Not at all. Ever since those first 6 months, he's had games. He hasn't had a solid set of games, consistency. He hasn't had it. So who knows? There's so much we can go on about with it, what needs to change, what can change and whatever. But again, unless we actually go and buy that winger or striker and that other one and get that DM we need, Werner, no thank you. And what's Football at Boxing saying? All right, mate, how you doing? See you on here quite a lot, so much appreciated. Been saying it, Daniel Doji defensively is massively overrated. I don't think he's overrated, but he's definitely not a fullback either. So defending isn't his strongest point, but he can defend. But I do see where you're coming from. I think he's a better defender than Porro, because Porro, I think, tackling and that, not good at all, but he is actually good at getting back and blocking the ball. But we'll know that for Porro, his strongest side, it is not defending. It's getting forward, crossing the ball, or getting into a place where he can have a crack at the ball. But that's why I don't like this inverted stuff either. That's why I'd rather they just overlap and cross the ball in. But then again, I'm not a football manager, so what would I know? Either way, Bertie Hotspur, agree with you, mate. I presume that was about what I said with the team playing Conte style. Was Charlie 7 here quick? I'm not for a one-season wonder, though, so rather have a proven player. Exactly, mate. That's what I've been saying all the time. David R., what about if our free signings are Onana for CDM, Williams and Bilbao, and Boniface, a striker from Leverkusen? Not a bad shout. Dave, if you want to come on here quick and say your piece, let me know quickly, because otherwise I'll shut the channel down soon. If you want to know, send me a quick WhatsApp and send you the link on it. What am I saying? You don't even need the link for it, mate. You're a member on the stream, so you can just go on to StreamYard and just jump on if you want. So I'll give you 5 minutes to do that if you want it. Give me a message if you're going to do it. But yeah, what Dave's saying here, that's 3 solid signings. I'll be happy with that. That is when I can take Spurs seriously now, yeah? If we go and make 3 solid signings that can either walk into that first team or be more than good enough to challenge that position, that player for that place, to the point where if they get it wrong, they know they're out for 2 games and the other one takes the place. And then they're going to have to fight to get back in there. That is when I will start taking things serious. When we stop going for these backup players like Timo Werner. And last message on here, Football Boxing. He's suspect to put... Let me start again. Sorry, mate. He's suspect to put it that way. I hope you're good, bro. Yeah, I'm all fine, mate. Just having my whinge about Timo Werner. But I do think Doji... He's not a fullback, definitely not. He is a wing back, and he is better at getting forward. But I do think he's better defending than Porro. But when they're all so far forward all the time as well, what can you expect of them as such? That is why we need that solid DM to cover the 2 defenders. So until we get that, I suppose we're not going to see things change, are we? We just have to wait and see. And what's audio saying here? We need 2 better wingers, 100%, mate, 100%. If Ange wants to challenge for the title, yep. I can see Troy Parrott staying in the squad for next season and playing left winger striker backup only because he's homegrown. Mate, that's more than possible. And who's the other one we got who can cover midfield? I'm really terrible at remembering names tonight. There's that other younger player we got in centre mid who I think is going to get into the squad next season, not the first team. Can't remember his name now. Centre midfield we got. Is it Divine? It might be him. Tonight I'm just terrible at remembering names. But we've got a couple of young players who can come through for the squad, not the 11. We haven't got none good enough for that, I don't think. Not yet. But where do we go? Divine. That's it. Yeah, I was right. Divine. I think he's going to be good enough. And yeah, also Donnelly. I think with them, you can say they're going to be good enough to be squad players, but they're not going to be first team players. And do you know what? I'd rather have them two in the squad than go and waste 15 million on Werner. And the other thing is with Werner that I haven't yet mentioned, his wages. At the moment, if what I read is correct, and what others have said, he's the third or fourth highest paid player at Tottenham. Timo Werner. The third or fourth highest paid player at Tottenham. Are we really going to buy him for 15 million and then give him 200 grand a week, whatever he's on? As a backup player. Need I say more? Anyway, people, I'm going to cut it at that because I haven't got a message off my mate Dave yet. And thanks for watching, everyone. It's not one thing I ask for a lot. Don't ask for it for it, but at the end I will do say, please give us a like and subscribe. Be much appreciated. Help me take the page further, channel further, whatever you want me to call it. But as far as I'm concerned, people, Timo Werner, no. Anyway, have a good evening, people. Have a good sleep. Take it easy.